I have a friend of mine I've just gotten to know who manages the Flaming Lips named Scott Booker, and he also has a music program at Oklahoma Central University. And I did a Zoom call with him in one of his classes, and he said to me, what's your favorite record you worked on? And I said, I have to be honest, every one of them, because every one of them was an honor. Every one of them was a privilege. Every one of them had its challenges. Every one of them had its rewards. Some were bigger rewards in regards to their recognition. But again, between Nat and then when I went to Epic Records for 3 years in California, I didn't really get to sign anything because the guys I worked for just kept passing on the Georgia Satellites and this band called the Living Daylights, which this guy, Rusty Anderson, who's been with Paul McCartney as his right-hand guitar player, that I wanted to sign, years and years ago. But everybody who does this has got hundreds of those kind of stories. Yeah. But going to A&M and working for Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss, and I was in New York, but that's where I found Blues Traveler and worked with them, and that to me is one of my favorite times of my life. But I also got to work with the Neville Brothers and do the record Yellow Moon with Daniel Lanois.
That was one of my favorite records, and I was a Lanois psycho, being Canadian as well. A huge fan of his production, and he was just this chameleon of the artist from U2 to Dylan to Peter Gabriel, and the way he just stepped into that album again and made it so musical. And that was kind of like a coming back out album for them as a family, as far as I remember.
It was a amazing moment in their lives. It was, I believe, the best record they've ever made, and they had something to really say. There was something on their hearts, or in their hearts, in their souls, on their minds. And when I wanted to sign them at A&M, everybody's like, nope. We put out Fire on the Bayou. That was the best, Neville's record to that moment. And I had to, fight a lot of different people between Herb and Jerry and David Anderley and my friend Steve. And everybody was like sort of against it. But I got Daniel involved because I had signed another band called the Innocence Mission from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I took Daniel to Philadelphia to see them play. And these kids, they weren't a Christian band, but they were devout Catholics. And there was something really special and also very provincial about who they were as people, but glorious. And it's, what they did musically and who they were as people. And we're coming back from Philadelphia in a car service, and Dan and I are sitting in the back. And this is really the first time I've been with him, other than maybe a casual hi or meeting him at a club. And he said, you know what, I don't know if this is really for me, but if I was going to produce them, this is what I would do. So the 2-hour car ride from Philadelphia was Daniel saying, this is how I'd produce it, which was so amazing, so insightful, so giving of him to share this insight, which he didn't have to do. He could have just sat there and said, I pass. And it was just so educational and inspiring. That's what it also was. It was so inspiring. And we're going through the Holland Tunnel. And I said, Daniel, have you ever seen the Neville Brothers? And he goes, well, I've never have, but we used Mean Willie Green, the drummer, on Robbie Robertson's records that he was producing at that time.
Oh, no kidding.
And I said, well, they're playing on Wednesday night at Irving Plaza. Will you please be my guest and come see them? And he came to the show, and his friend Chris Blackwell from Island Records was there.
No kidding.
Place was sold out. And again, they played like they were ascending to heaven. And at the end of the night, I said, Daniel, thanks for coming. I'll give you a call the next day or two. I think I either called him on maybe the Thursday or the Friday. No answer.